Hello everybody, this is Mark from Prayers and Projects, and we're here with Miss Robin. We came out here to take care of a cooling system issue on her Cadillac, and we're going to get this all fixed up for her and get it ready to go. She's got an appointment, so this is probably the only time you'll see her. Say hi, Miss Robin.
Hi, Miss Robin.
All right, y'all have a blessed day, and I'll show you some of the repairs here in a minute. All right, this is a Cadillac Catera, and it has the 3-liter V6, and the thermostat housing on this thing is under the intake manifold right there, and it has a pipe that runs across right down here to the radiator hose. And this is what we're going to be digging into to see how far we got to tear it apart to get in there. There's not a lot of videos out there on this. I am a professional mechanic, but it's the first time I ran into one of these, so this is going to be a
Exploratory.
interesting job. We'll go from here. All right, we got the upper half of the intake hanging from the hood. We're pulling the center intake, and then we got to pull the lower intake. We already got the tube off the thermostat housing and the thermostat housing loose, but it does not fit through here. So when you're pulling the thermostat housing tube that runs over to the radiator hose, I can't really show you that at the moment, but the dipstick is kind of in the way, and if you get a little bit of pry on there and just kind of pop it so that it releases from the O-ring right here, you can rotate the tube and pull it out past the dipstick far enough to get everything free. Now we're going to pull this lower or middle intake, and then we're going to see if we got to pull that lower. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do that also. So far we got these vacuum lines disconnected here. That one right there was really stiff and giving me trouble to disconnect. So instead of disconnecting all that stuff on that side, I just pulled it off to the side and hung it up. Okay, I got the bolts out, and there's literally one bolt beside each of the 6 injectors. And I just set those right there in the grass. All right, y'all. I got that up out of the hole, and that is a pain to pull out. But I watched a bunch of other videos on it, and everybody's like, oh, you just got to push and pull and yank and jiggle, and you don't. Right here, you'll see a notch. Here, here, and here. You can see it right there. See it? See those notches right there? Those line up to the divots that pop out right here next to each injector. And if you line it up right, you can get it up in there just right, and then you can get a wedge or a screwdriver or a pick. I use my long 90 pick right there and get it right against the edge of the valve cover carefully, and you can get onto that edge of that lip and just give it a little bit of tug. And it honestly wasn't near as bad as some of these other guys made it out to be, but now we got to pull all those bolts and get that piece out of there. All right, y'all. This is like Cadillac dumb, but
It did great.
that's the thermostat, and it's apparently stuck shut. Hopefully that takes care of the whole problem. It goes right down in the valley right there at the front edge of the motor, and you have to pull this lower section of intake and the middle intake and the upper intake to get at that thermostat. Now, once you get all that out, it flips right up out of that hole like nothing, warm butter. So it's a lot of tearing down stuff for a little job, but it is what it is, right? So this is a Cadillac Catera. I believe it's a 2000 model. It's got the 3.0 under the hood, V6, and it's not a big car. There's not a lot of room to work, and I got a few scratches, but we'll get over it. It's almost done because we got it out. That's the hard part. Now we just got to put it back together. That's the new thermostat housing and the old one. And there's the whole bunch of O-rings and seals. We're going to be replacing pretty much all of them. Hopefully they all fit. All right, let's get back to putting it together. Before you get ready to put that thermostat housing in, if you look right down there, you can see that that's the metal tube that goes into the thermostat housing from the upper radiator hose. It has 2 O-rings on it that seat into the thermostat housing that do not come with the thermostat housing or the intake gaskets. You'll need to match those O-rings up. The O'Reilly's system does not show them, but my son's taking one of the old O-rings over there to match them up right now. So as soon as he gets back, we'll get this thing put back together. All right, I just got through replacing all the O-rings. Everything's freshly rubberized. Got all new O-rings. There's all the old ones, which were actually really still pliable. They are reusable to a point, but when they start compressing with age, it's a good idea to go ahead and replace them while you're in there, because you sure wouldn't want to have to tear it apart for that later. All right, any of y'all that are tinkering with one of these and you had to have those O-rings for the thermostat housing and the tube, the runner that goes out to the radiator hose, the line item is PSO and the item number is 218. That is at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And that'll get you those 2 O-rings. Nobody lists them, but they had the size that we needed in stock. So that's it. All right, we got those new O-rings in place now. Down there on that tube, they fit beautiful. And for anybody that hasn't been doing this for a while, you'll know that, or anybody that has, you'll know that when you go to push that thermostat housing onto there, it's going to bind up something fierce and you're going to fight it to get it on there. And this is our secret. You take some hand lotion, and this stuff right here is amazing for that, and it's great for your hands.
Make sure
and we lubricate that because we want a petroleum-free product so that it doesn't swell the O-rings up. So we're going to use this O'Keefe's Working Hands, which may have a tiny bit of petroleum in there, but it's primarily water-based. And we're going to lubricate those O-rings before we try to shove that thermostat housing on there so that we don't have to fight it so hard. We'll see y'all after we get it put back together. All right, we're putting the last of this together, and these bolts, like I told you before, are one beside each injector right here. Well, I wouldn't want you dropping them down in the holes, so what we'll do is we're going to take this chunk of fuel line, and we're going to stick that bolt right in the end of that fuel line, and then we're going to slide that right into the hole and get it started. And I tell you what, if you got to try to do that free-handed, it's a whole lot harder. I think I made it. Let me check that. All right, we got it all put back together. So, got coolant in it. We're letting that bleed a little bit. We're airing up the tire on it. So hopefully that'll take air and we'll have this thing ready to roll in just a few more minutes. All right, the tire's aired up. We left the air pump in your seat. Should be good to go. We've done, ran it up to temperature, checked everything. The fans are coming on, the thermostat's opening, and it's maintaining right at half gauge, so it's looking pretty good. So now that we're all finished with that and we've picked up our mess, we're gonna pack up. And like I said, we left her with the air compressor so she can air that tire back up later, and we're gonna move on to the next one. We'll see y'all soon. Have a blessed day, and keep her and us and yourselves in prayer. In Jesus' name.